City Council regular meeting for the City of Wyoming, Minnesota, April 16th, 2024. Let the record reflect we do have a quorum. Present is Councilmember Nako Yeager, Schilling, Luger, Mayor Iverson, and Councilmember Onstad will be participating in the meeting remotely from a hotel meeting room, Tradewind Island Grand Resort at 5500 Gulf Boulevard, St. Pete Beach, Florida, 33706. That is open to the public. The City of Wyoming has posted the notice about Councilmember Onstad's remote participation per statute 13D.02. Councilmember Onstad has posted at his location that he is participating in the regularly scheduled meeting of the Wyoming City Council at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and he is actively participating in the Eastern Standard Time at approximately 8:01. With that, can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next on our agenda is open forum. Open forum is an opportunity for members of the public to address the City Council on items that are on or may not be on the current agenda. Items requiring council action may be deferred to staff or boards and commissions for research and future council agendas if appropriate. You will be limited to 3 minutes, and we ask that you conduct yourself in a professional, courteous manner and refrain from the use of profanity. Failure to abide by this policy may result in the loss of your privilege to speak. And I know we have a resident here tonight that would like to speak at open forum, so come on up, introduce yourself, and we have address on.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Yep. Hello, we are Pat and Carol Keneally, living at 6750 Greenway Lane. We have lived at this address for almost 30 years. We are here tonight to talk about the proposed Greenway Frontage Road Realignment Alternative 6 published on 3/11/2024. During our time here, we've spent thousands of dollars planting very specific trees and plants to block out noise, sound, and light from Highway 8 and Greenway Avenue, as well as providing a privacy barrier. This proposed service road will take out 2 corners of our property, and the right-of-way will result in the removal of 1 or 2 rows of trees. It's on the northwest side of the property. This will also remove most of the fencing from our yard per Joe T. at the county, and Rob mentioned that he did not know that we had fencing there either, so a city as well. The right-of-way will take out a large amount of our property on the north and west sides. We understand that there have been multiple meetings with business owners, Holt and Interstate, and they have expressed that we need to share the burden of this road. This service road is only to service these 2 businesses. It is not for our benefit. In fact, with the increased road noise, light, loss of privacy, this will definitely decrease our property values. We have been told that the curve through our property must be at that angle, but if you look at the current map, there's a 90-degree turn on the southwest corner and a sharp turn in the field after it leaves Interstate's property. So that angle on that curve does not need to be there because it's already proven within several, 1,000 feet or so, you've got 2 very sharp curves. So it very easily could go around the outer corner of our property. Let's see. History of the land use for Holt. It's been a huge brush pile, junk, whatever. Every few years they burn it, and that's all they've used that back property for decades. For Interstate, they have used the whole fence line across the back for storing trailers, semi-trailers, barrels of I don't know what, just junk, just pile their tires, whatever. It's all piled up along the fence line. It's unused property in there, the way they've used it all these years. Basically, the storage of garbage is against the COP for both properties. Basically, they have had no use for these parts of their property except for garbage heaps. And the road will fit there without affecting existing buildings or parking for both properties as they currently stand. We were told by Highway 8 Improvement Project started in 2020. The only notifications or communications we have received is 1 letter in August of 2021 that people would be on our property to take soil samples. We received a postcard in 2023 and another in 2024 that the Highway 8 project received funding and is moving forward. We went online and learned about the Highway 8 project ourselves. We have made many calls over the years asking to be included in meetings, signed up when and where told, but still have not been allowed to participate in this process. In fact, not a single household in Greenway Lane is aware of this project, or the Highway 8 road improvement for that matter. We are finding that the county says to talk to the city says talk to the county, and we just want to be included in this process and have a voice in the decisions being made. We understand that over 230 households and businesses involved in the Highway 8 improvement project have been involved since 2020. We are just not one of them, even though we have asked to be included. We would like to have access to correspondence and meetings regarding this section of Highway 8 improvement plan with all the other businesses and homeowners in the area. Thank you for your time. Any
Thank you.
questions?
I'm just going to ask a couple questions from staff. Mr. Erickson, this is a county project, right? So they would, I know when we do a project in the city, we send out information, correct?
That is correct. It is a county-led project on a trunk highway. MnDOT had started this effort years and years ago. Did not move forward due to lack of funding. The county, realizing that this is an important corridor with a lot of highway safety issues, had pursued that, took the lead on finding funding, going through some of the environmental process, and we're at a point now, I think, where they are looking to start the design process.
Okay. And when we do a local project, we look at obviously the houses and businesses that are on that project.
Correct.
So I'm assuming, you can, yes or no, that the county would be doing the same thing, that they have a tax roll of everybody that's in that project?
I would assume so. I'm not privy to the mailing list that they have and who has and hasn't received notice, but I do know that they have had a number of different, I believe, notifications in the local paper regarding neighborhood meetings or project meetings. I believe, I can't recall, this is
Yeah.
a number of years ago. This has been a process as she had mentioned for quite some time, but I had participated in a number of open houses myself.
Which we were never invited to,
Yeah,
or informed that they were occurring.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just
So
trying to,
I'm just not privy to what their
Yeah.
mailing list is, but generally I would say yes, that they would typically do that.
yeah,
But in this
that's,
case, it sounds like they hadn't received.
sure, that's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out. Like, the county should be the one informing you, so,
Precisely.
um,
The county says talk to the city, when I
Yeah.
talk to Joe, and I get told to talk.
Sure.
Are you part of this road alignment is along the rest of it? It is in the right of way that anyone who owned property on Highway 8 was aware that if there was adjustments, you'd lose the frontage.
mhm.
This is the back. This is not the
That's the-
frontage.
And-
You're not touching the frontage of either the Holt or,
Yeah.
Wall
We-
State property, they're running into the back. And my understanding is there was a request by the businesses that we share in part of the land loss to that road.
Yeah,
Which to me is, if they have, I mean, we've owned the property longer than they have owned their
Mhm.
property. So why are we getting?
Yeah.
We're not against the road, we know it's gotta go in. It's the route.
Yep.
The reasoning for that route
yeah, and I,
makes no sense to us at all.
yeah, and we, the
And
council.
It's actually lower, where they wanna go goes lower, and the higher drier ground is
Yeah.
actually their property.
Yeah, Commissioner Monska is your commissioner, I believe. So, tomorrow there should be a county meeting. One of my suggestions would be to also go to the county meeting.
Sure.
And, talk to Commissioner Monska, in fact, all of those commissioners. So that would be, if it was me, that's where I would go as well. And I appreciate you being here so we can kind of try to understand. Mr. Linwood, I think you've had some
No,
conversation?
I have had some conversations last Friday, kind of about their point, and I
Yeah.
actually invited them to come and, to speak your
Yeah,
your
we
concerns
appreciate
about
that.
it, about the project in the open forum, to at least get it on record with the council, and
Yeah.
stated as we continue to evaluate that. Right now, we've approved a preliminary layout, it is not a final layout, but we'll continue to work with the county, as we've done so out as Mr. Triplett, come and visit on certain components of the road as we move forward. So there'll be other opportunities as we go through this, as right now it is just preliminary to look at this, and try to address as many concerns as we have and work with the county on the project and through this area and the rest of the entire corridor.
Yeah,
And we just, you know, we were not naive when we bought our piece of property. This was one of the reasons I spent probably the first 5 to 10 years developing that area.
yeah,
Was to block out the sound, because we're lower than even the intersection. So anything I could put in there had to be more of the wetland area and some of it, you get the blockage of the sound, the
Mhm.
noise, plus the aesthetics.
yeah,
I mean, I actually put stuff in that in the fall looks really nice. It's got dual purposes
yeah,
on this, and we knew that things would develop. So we put this in there so that it wouldn't bother us, whatever they develop, the whole property, if they get bigger or whatever. And as they did develop the different gas stations in there, that's part of what I put in there on purpose.
yeah. It sounds, I'll definitely come out and take a look at your property
Please.
as well. And if you want to go to the county meeting tomorrow, send me an email. I can try to attend it with you.
Okay.
So, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Yeah, sure.
Is there a way that we can, just for Wyoming residents, I know it's a county project, I get that, but is there a way that we can compare, like, our notes with theirs in terms of residents to ensure that, because it sounds like communication is a problem. And I'm concerned, like, not just that's
Not just us.
Yeah.
impacting you, but
Yeah.
also other folks, and I'm just wondering if we could maybe request that information, just so that we know, we can, like,
Who's been notified?
okay.
Sure, yeah, we can reach out to the county engineer Triplett and ask him about, you know, as far as notification areas along that corridor and see, you know, with the idea of any of the, you know,
When it-
the
Especially with the other Greenway
Right.
residents.
yeah, with the other corridor or potential with, you know, access closings and some of these side road improvements to make sure that they're being, I'm assuming that, obviously they didn't make it, I'm not arguing that, I haven't heard from Mr. Triplett in regards to that, but to make sure that, yeah, they are, people that should probably know and close to the corridor have received
Yeah.
notice and information. Like I said, like
And-
Mr. Erickson said, I think, you know, they publish things, but as far as getting
It's
a letter
sometimes,
sent to
yeah,
you
yeah.
directly, obviously, is a easier way to get notification.
And Mr. Linwood, can they call you if they have any more questions?
Absolutely, yes, yeah.
And-
Mr. Erickson and I are gonna go out on the site and take a look at it here next week.
Yeah.
Next Friday. Yeah,
Okay.
Which I appreciate.
Yes.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you coming out.
And I just want to say one other little thing. I mean, we sat at these council meetings 20, almost 30 years ago, very regularly.
Yeah.
And one of our big pushes is like when Super America went in, a lot of those other businesses, and was maintaining that right-of-way corridor to put in-service roads in front of those businesses. And last I looked, we are the only property behind that's actually getting affected by a service road. Everything else is going right down Highway 8
Mhm.
on either side, unless there's already an existing road behind it.
Okay,
So,
all right.
All right.
Well, thank you. We appreciate you here
greatly
tonight.
appreciate it.
We hope you'll stay, if you want to stay, so. All right, sounds
you.
great. All right, back to our agenda, number 1. Consider approving the minutes of the regular meeting of the Wyoming, Minnesota City Council for April 2nd, 2024. If there are no comments or changes, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve by member Schilling. Do we have a second? Second by member Luger. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Consent agenda number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Does anybody wish to pull anything from the consent agenda? Seeing none, we need a motion to approve consent agenda number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Do we have a motion? We have a motion by member Luger. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by member Schilling. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So passes. Acknowledgement of receipts of reports of officer, boards, commissions, and department heads. Number 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Does anybody wish to pull an item from the reports? Seeing none, we'll move on to new business. There's no old business. We'll move on to new. Number 12, to consider resolution 240443, a resolution designating polling places for the remainder 2024 elections. Mr. Linwood or Mr. McFarland?
I'll be taking that.
Okay.
Honorable Mayor and members of council, the city of Wyoming, as you're aware, has continued to grow over the past few years. And part of that growth resulted in 2024 being the first year that we offered a second precinct, voting precinct for elections. And so the first one was, that we used, the second one was March 5th for the presidential nominating primary. I know that city staff worked closely with county representatives to ensure that all individuals that were going to be in a new jurisdiction for voting received mailings, and we also published that on our social medias as well. Part of that was just because with a change after you voted for one place for so long, we wanted to make sure that individuals understood where to go and there'd be less confusion. And with the PNP being a typically less attended election, it was a good time to get that out and make sure that people were ahead of it before we'll call it the big one. Unfortunately, on February 26, 2024, staff became aware that there was an error on the state's website regarding the locations of the polling places. Polling place A was listed as B and vice versa. So Maranatha and St. Paul Lutheran are listed on the incorrect portions of the map. Staff reached out to county representatives to correct that issue, but were informed that it was too close to the March 5th PNP for that to be done so. So the March 5th PNP presidential nominated primary was conducted with those polling places in the opposite location as what was originally intended. However, it did match the mailings that went out, so that was at least correct. We were informed by county staff that this change would have to occur to correct those polling places after that March PNP. So that's why we're here before you today, is to introduce a resolution that will allow people to vote to the polling place that is closer to their location. And with that as well, we would be sending out new mailings as well as the state, and once again pushing those updates on social media to update people and inform them that this is your correct location and it will be moving forward. So the item before you is just a resolution confirming that. We've been working with the state once again, just to make sure that this goes smoothly. So
if I'm understanding correctly, this was actually misinformation. I shouldn't say misinformation, but information that was not correct coming from the county, right? It was not something on our end.
yeah, it seemed like something got missed between the state and the county when it came to that information. I know Administrator Linwood and I had multiple phone calls with the county about making sure that this was correct because of it being such a large change. And we're ensured that things were correct and how we intended them. So when we saw that mistake on our end, we noticed it. It was quite a surprise, and yeah, it sounds like it was outside of our court at that point.
And if I remember correctly, we had worked on that, or the staff had worked on that for a couple years almost, right? It wasn't like it was a quick thing.
We had identified previously, as far as polling places, that there was gonna be a change, and worked with the council in regards to designating those land areas where we would have the two precincts in previous years, prior to actually going through with the Secretary of State and working on the polling place. So, I think, as Mr. McFarland said, it's I'm not completely sure, a miscommunication or a breakdown in regards to how this happened, but at this point, we're going right now to correct it, and it'll remain this way moving forward to have the appropriate, our larger population at Maranatha and our smaller population at St. Paul Lutheran. So really makes a lot of sense. As some of you may have seen both polling places, and Maranatha obviously considerably larger than the St. Paul Lutheran polling place.
Okay. Questions from members. We'll start with Member Onstad, who's furthest away. No questions? Okay. Member Luker?
No questions.
Member Schilling?
No questions.
Member Yeager?
Did we have a lot of people go to the wrong location?
I can share that at our location, we had maybe 250 electors, or not electors, apologies, but voters, and of that amount, maybe 20 people had come up to me, and granted, there are other individuals working as well, but that we spoke to, just to inform them where to go.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I was at the St. Paul Lutheran. I think we had probably less than that, more people coming over saying, we're used to voting at Maranatha, and now we're learning that we didn't, that we came over here. And as part of this, everyone will receive, all the residents within our community that have households will receive cards in the mail from the Secretary of State, and then we'll be pushing out in our future newsletters prior to the election and online that, just to let people know about those. So we'll push it out on social media, all those good things. But the state will be sending out postcards
Okay.
to each
Yeah, I was
residential
curious
entity.
if there was just a lot of confusion
Yeah, it
with
wasn't-
people going to wrong places.
Sure, and it wasn't too bad, and I think naturally, even with the change in the polling place, people, when we switched from Maranatha to the former township building, and here, there was a lot of people still that would show up to City Hall, even regular
Yeah, I
election day,
remember
people
that.
still show up at City Hall and say, do I vote here? And no, you vote at Maranatha or St. Paul. And so I think it's just people get used to where they go.
And if I might add too, I know at our precinct, and I imagine Administrator Linwood's as well, but if people were confused, we did state, about this change, that they should be checking their mailings again in the future here, just because they'd be updated again on the polling place, and so to check social media, and that we'd be sharing once again. So we wanted them to know it was coming up.
Okay, perfect.
So, sorry, the only thing I noticed is my polling place was correct. It was just the A and B that was off. So everything was right, and it's still gonna stay the same. It was
It's just different letters.
Yep, that was it. So otherwise, we knew that we went there. Everything that was sent to us was the proper location. It was just the A and B was mixed up, so.
And everybody who wanted to vote was able to vote, correct?
Correct.
All right, so we need a motion to approve Resolution 240403, a resolution designating polling places for the remaining 2024 elections. I'll make the first. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Schilling. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So passed. Oh, sorry, Brett, I heard it. I heard you say aye. We got ya. All right, number 13, to consider a council work session on April 30th, 2024. Again, Mr. Linwood or Mr. McFarland?
Mayor, I will handle that one. Mayor, members of council, staff is requesting that we have had a council work session on April 30th at 5:30. And that would be to continue some of our discussions on Highway 8 and potentially, based on some of the conversation tonight, we didn't preliminary talk about that intersection, but we certainly can. Just some other design components. Mr. Triplett has a few updates for us and continue some conversation too about just some of the components in the road. So also as part of that, Mr. Erickson would like to have the second half of that to be talking about the 2024 street reconstruction project and kind of the scope of that now that all the feasibility and geotechnical investigation has been completed on that. So we would request that from council for that April 30th date at 5:30 p.m.
Did everybody check their calendars? Does that work for everybody?
I'm good.
All right, starting at 5:30?
Yes.
Is what you said? Okay, so we need a motion to approve work session on April 30th, 2024, here at City Hall at 5:30. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion to approve by Member Luker. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Schilling. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Number 14, to consider a council work session on May 14th, 2024. Mr. Linwood?
Yes, Mayor, honorable council members, this is just a request for our annual road tour. We've been doing these since 2017, where the tour allows just the city council, the staff, to discuss about upcoming projects we've completed, and really just get an opportunity for all of us to be together and we get all of our eyes on the same thing and kind of see the different areas of the city. So once again, similar to prior years, Fairview Meadows will be donating a driver to us and for that work session this year. So we thank them for their continued partnership on the city. It's nice of them to donate their time and that bus for this this work session. So with that, we are asking council to set for a work session for May 15th, 2024 at 5 p.m. for that road and project tour.
Okay. Any comments, questions? Everybody can make it? Brett, can you attend? Yep, okay. We need a motion to approve council work session or road tour, as we call it, on May 15th, 2024. I'll make the first motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Luker. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Number 15, proclamation celebrating Arbor Day 2024. Now, I know Mr. McFarland is going to take this one.
Honorable Mayor and members of the council, in 2020, the City of Wyoming became a member of the Tree City USA program. The Tree City USA program began in 1976 and is a national program that supports community tree management. Trees are a critical part of our city's infrastructure, and a healthy forestry program helps protect groundwater, reduce energy costs, support erosion control, and boost property values. In order to maintain Tree City USA status, the city must hold an Arbor Day celebration and issue a proclamation. Staff will be administering a tree planting event on Saturday, April 27th, 2024 at the Wyoming City Hall from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Rain day would be the Saturday following. I think that's the 4th. Members of the public are welcome and encouraged to attend, and we're currently working with some Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts to see if we can't get some of them to come as well. So,
Awesome. All right, questions from council. Member Yeager.
None.
Member Schilling.
No questions.
Member Luker.
No questions.
I have none either, and I think it's not going to rain. I think all the rain is today. It's getting over with. So, and I think that was in our newsletter as well. We highlighted that. Perfect. All right. So we need a motion to approve the proclamation for celebrating Arbor Day in 2024. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion to approve by Member Schilling. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Member, Brett, do you want to second that? All right. Member Onsted's going to second that. Good job. So, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're good. All right. Council reports, Brett, we're gonna start with you. Council reports?
I don't believe I have anything to report. Just currently on business in Florida and enjoying myself down here.
All right, great,
Thanks for
awesome.
everyone coming out.
All right, safe travels home. Member Luker?
I attended the sewer commission meeting last night. Thank you for attending.
All right, Member Schilling?
I have no report, and thank you for coming.
All right,
Have a good night.
Member Yeager?
Oh, no report. Thank you for coming, thank you for speaking, and I hope to see you on April 30th when we have the work session with Mr. Triplett and hopefully Commissioner Monska here. And then thank you all on that little camera, whoever's watching.
All right, I also shared the joint sewer commission meeting, always good information. Also the EDA meeting, we're really starting to work hard on the downtown plan and things that we can work on right away. So we are looking for another EDA member, if anybody out there is wanting to be a part of the city commissions, it's actually a lot of fun. I also like to thank Member Luger for chairing the meeting while I was gone. So I did almost tune in. YouTube's a
sorry,
great
what?
thing. So you did a great job, I heard, so I really appreciate that. I do have a couple questions I want to ask staff that has actually come to my attention, and I'm hoping we can clarify some of what these questions are. And I don't know who wants to answer these, so I'm going to kind of ask both Mr. Erickson and Mr. Lunan, so whoever wants to answer would be very helpful. There's some questions about Katie's Glen, and one of them is about the wetlands, and that we're taking away all the wetlands so there won't be any there any longer. So could maybe somebody explain the wetland process? Are they in statute? What is... I just am hoping we can kind of clarify the wetland question. Mr. Erickson?
Madam Mayor, members of council, I'd be happy to address that. During the review process, I'll just start from the beginning, really, with all developments, right? When they go through, we have a practice that it requires them to identify existing wetlands, where they exist. And so there's a wetland delineation process that they're required to go through. And as the city of Wyoming, we are the local governing unit for the Wetland Conservation Act. And so we have a representative at WSB, his name is Dustin Simonson, who really kind of formalizes that process and works through that process, not only himself, but a wetland technical evaluation panel. So it will include the Minnesota Board of Water and Soil Resources, the DNR, may include the Army Corps of Engineers if they have jurisdiction over that. So there's other, the watershed district, there's other entities that are involved in that. And so what a development needs to do is they need to go through a process of avoidance. And so they need to show that they've gone through a sequencing process that really identifies where roads are, where they would really like them, but sometimes they impact wetlands. And so they need to show a process of avoidance. And in some cases, wetlands are scattered around, and there's some that are of high quality and some that are of lesser quality, some that are smaller and less important and things of that nature. And so they do evaluate that. And so that did occur with this project. And again, there are a number of wetlands on the property. They are impacting 3 wetlands, one in its entirety. It's an isolated wetland. And then there's 2 others where they are impacting, I believe, I can look at it. I believe they're less than 300 square feet in both instances. So in this project, they're impacting approximately, it's less than a quarter acre. There's many acres of wetlands on the site, and so they're impacting 1/4. I'm just gonna round it up to a quarter of an acre. And then they, in order to impact those, they need to either restore wetlands on site, which there's not a lot of room to do that within this site, or they can purchase credits. And so when they purchase credits, or they create those wetland credits on site, they have to do so at a 2-to-1 ratio. So in this case, if we're again rounding up, they're at a quarter acre, they're gonna have to purchase a 1/2 acre of wetland credits from a bank that was created. That Upland, before, they created a wetland bank and then they sell those credits. And so that occurred with this project. They did purchase those credits for the impacts that had occurred out there. But again, it's not wiping out all of the wetlands that are on site. It is just small portions of 2 and 1 in its entirety where it just was unavoidable.
Okay, so one of the questions that came up is we're taking dirt and we're filling in all the wetlands. That is not the case.
That is not the case. That is correct. That is not happening.
Okay, perfect, thank you. And then, Mr. Lunan, this is probably more for you. We had worked on this 2 years ago, I think we approved it, almost 2? Pretty close to that?
Pretty close to that,
Yeah.
sounds about right.
There still seems to be some questions whether it was why we had to approve it. And I'm wondering if you could just explain just a little bit more about those rights when somebody buys the property and certain things happen that if we don't approve it, what could happen? So that's kind of another question. We thought we kind of answered that a couple years ago, but I think it might be beneficial to kind of help again.
Sure, so, in this instance, when the city receives, an application for development like this, the council, at the time the application is received, is guided by the city zoning code, and the city comprehensive plan. And in the event that applicants come forward, such as a single-family development that's guided, the land is guided as such, and they've meet all the application requirements, the city's limited in its authority at that time. Council sits in what's called a quasi-judicial role, which means we take the laws that have been enacted, which are our zoning laws, that comply with our comprehensive plan, and we see if the project conforms to those. We are not able at that time to make a determination whether or not the project is something that we want. It's applying those, the project itself to what has been adopted by the city previously, that the applicant has an expectation. And so council is limited in its authorities to grant these approvals, because in the event that we don't comply with what's set forth in our comp plan, what's set forth in our zoning code, the city could expose itself to liability, potentially a lawsuit from developers, for not conforming to those requirements that they've previously adopted. So there's not a lot of discretion that's given to the council at the time that the application comes forward. Council's discretionary authority is when it's setting forth those zoning amendments, which again come from the comp plan. So it really is going through the process of what council and previous council have set forth for the land use, and then as applications come forward, the city has a duty to review those in compliance with whatever the applicable laws are at that time, determine if they fit, and approve. And so when this project came forward, it was one that satisfied those requirements under the city's zoning code, and there was limited discretion for the council from a legal perspective that would not have exposed us to potential liability if the developer had chosen to challenge that decision.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Those are all my questions, so hopefully that'll answer some of the questions and rumors that are going around the city for this particular development. So with that, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for coming tonight. Really appreciate it. We like to hear from our residents, however we can help. I hope everybody has a good night and stay dry. All right, need a motion to adjourn? We have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.